Now we come to Uddhacca, Kukucca, restlessness and worries. Now we come to Dhammanupassana, and that is on the fourth foundation of mindfulness. And the Buddha says, he knows when restlessness and worries are present in him. He knows when restlessness and worries are not present in him. So, I covered the two first. He knows when it is present in him. Now, what is restlessness and worries? So, in order to know when restlessness is present in you, you must know its characteristics. If you say, hey, have you seen Mr. Wong before? Then you will ask, Mr. Wong, who is Mr. Wong? How does he look like? How is his behavior? Then you will say, oh, Mr. Wong is about 5'4", and of course he's a bit plump, or he has a cropped hair, straight hair down. Now these are explaining the characteristics of Mr. Wong, and as your sanya, your perception grabs the point, that is Mr. Wong, I've seen him before, right? So in order to recognize what is Uddhacca, you have to go to the process. In the Abhidhamma process, which the Buddha says, in order to see it clearly, you must go to its function, you must go to its manifestation, you must go to its characteristics, and you must go to its cause, the near cause of its arising. Now in that way, you will know from various angles what Uddhacca is. Now that is in the Abhidhamma. And so, if you study Abhidhamma, that is the benefits. You will understand more clearly the Dhamma without making mistakes. Now, if you just study Sutanta, discourses, Buddha's conventional reality, sometimes we make a lot of mistakes. We think that this is that and that is this, because we do not go through the process of analysis of its characteristics, of its function, and so forth. So, Abhidhamma supplement the study of Sutanta. It supplement. It makes Sutanta more clear. Right? It makes it more clear. And you make less mistake when you study Abhidhamma. But I do not say that you study until you become professor. No. When you go too much into analysis, you can't understand anymore. You know, you go to the level that you are comfortable with, that you can apply in your practice, which I always do. So in the teaching of meditation itself, I always apply Abhidhamma in my teachings of meditation, because it's become more clear. When I include the Abhidhamma in the meditation teaching, it becomes more clear, and meditators can grasp it more easily, right? So he knows when restlessness and worries are present with him. Now, what is the characteristics of Uddhacca? The characteristics of Uddhacca is this quietness. The mind is not quiet. When it's moving about, it makes sound. It's not quiet, right? When quietness, we can always say samadhi is quietness. When the mind becomes very quiet, does not talk too much, then we say the mind is quiet, samadhi. But if you keep on talking and talking non-stop for hours, you find your mind is not quiet. But when you stop talking, then you have a sense of quietness. Then you feel quite comfortable, quite samadhi, peaceful when you stop talking. And so is the mind. So this is a mental state. Uddhacca is a mental state that when it keeps on moving, then it is not quiet. It is disturbing. Like a monkey jumping all over the place, like a heap of dust scattered by a stone thrown into it, like a strong wind blowing a big heap of dry leaves. So it is an example of the restlessness. It's disquiet, it's fly all over. When the big gust of wind blows the bundle of dry leaves, and the leaves shower all over. Now that is our mental states when we are restless. When you're restless, it's just like that. Huh? Now what is the function? The function is to make the mind unsteady, non-concentrated and scattered. That is the function of Uddhacca when it arises in our mind. Now what does it do when restlessness comes? You ask the question. What does it matter when I have restlessness in the mind? What does it matter? What does it do to me? If I have restlessness in the mind, what does it do? Now, it do to you is it makes you unconcentrated, unsteady. Unsteady. It makes your mind very unsteady. You're restless. You cannot stand straight. You want to fall down. So a mind that is very unsteady, when the mind is restless, so it doesn't make good decision. So when you have worries and you're restless, don't make decision. Don't make a fast decision. Just note the unsteady mind until the unsteady mind subside. Now you know. You're now focused. Then you make good decision. Catch the point or not? Don't make decision when you are unsteady, especially when you are quarreling with your spouse. Wife quarrel, husband quarrel with wife. No need to make decision. If you make decision, finish. They say, you always call me one. I leave, then you know. Then the wife say, leave lah. They say, okay, tomorrow I leave now, finish. Then you go out, no place to stay. Where do I go? No more home. No more dinner, warm food at home. Dinner time. Why? Because udacha. Because of what? Udacha kukucha. Because you are restless. When you get angry, the mind is not stable. It is udacha. So udacha arises in all unwholesome mind. That is Abhidhamma. Remember that. Whenever you have greed, you have hatred, you have delusion, udacha arises in the mind. Makes the mind unstable. You can't think. Why can't you think? Moha there, look after the mind. Moha, it clouds the mind, make it all dark. Moha makes you can't see, make you can't think properly. Udacha just shake the mind. And anger, just revenge, wants to hurt. And a lot of time, you hurt your own self. You make a wrong decision, you hurt your own self. So, look into your mind, don't make decision when you have unwholesome mind. Quite simple. Simple, isn't it? Right. So don't make decision. Right or not? Just stay quiet and just watch your mind and just name your mind. Udacha, udacha, udacha. Restlessness. The mind is like what? It's like, they always say that it's like a frog standing on a hot stone. Then jump. Udacha. It keeps on jumping because the stone is hot. The stone is hot. Right? So that's udacha, characteristics. And what is the function? The function, when it arises, the function is to make the mind unsteady. That is the function of udacha. It influences the other mental states. Move the other mental states. That is the function of udacha. When it arises in the mind, it makes the other cetasikas, other mental state unstable. It shake it, move it. It move it like how would you say? Shakes it like an engine, not finely tuned, wrong tuning. So when you start the engine, boom, and what do the engine do? The engine moves. And when the engine moves, what happens? The whole car moves. Right, huh? You see in the car, not only the engine moves, but it also moves the whole car. It moves the wheel. It moves everything. It moves your seat, your car seat. Why? Because it is wrongly tuned. So when your mind is wrongly tuned with udacha, it moves the whole mental state. Got it or not? So, you better learn how to tune your mind. Like a good mechanic. Hear it. A good mechanic, he doesn't need apparatus one. Last time, olden days, my mechanic, every time he tune it, my car engine is so smooth. But every now and then, few months, I got to get it tuned because it's no longer steady. And listen, only 2 buttons. Perfect. Very nice. And after that, the whole car is so stable. Sometimes the engine, when it is started as if it is not there, then, the engine is on. Right? It's stable. It is solid. It is still. That is concentrated. But udacha is the opposite. Not only it shakes, but it shakes the other mental states. So the other mental states are affected when these udacha arises in the mind. Interesting or not? Interesting, eh? That's Abhidhamma. After that, you ask me for Abhidhamma book. There I say, see Angkatan. And what is the manifestation of Uddhacca? What does it appear when it arises in the mind? Of course, it is disturbance, it is turmoil, it is non-peacefulness. So that is the manifestation. So when you feel shaken, when you feel disturbed, then you know there is presence of Uddhacca in your mind. Your mind is unstable. Your mind is shaking, is moving. So that is the manifestation of Uddhacca. Right? So what is the manifestation? How do you know that it is there? It is there when your mind is shaking. It is there. When you feel agitated, cooking also cannot, lie down also cannot, sit also cannot, go marketing also no mood. You know your mind is restless, Uddhacca. No concentration, cannot do one thing. Because the mind is keep jumping from object to object. You cannot do your work. When you're angry, for example, Uddhacca becomes strong. When you're angry at your children is naughty, you sit down also cannot, not peaceful. You know your mind is jumping around, Uddhacca. So either you note anger or you note Uddhacca. They are interrelated. Because of anger, Uddhacca shakes the mind. Because of Uddhacca, associate with anger. It arises with anger. Because Uddhacca always arises in unwholesome mind. Whenever there is unwholesome mind, there is Uddhacca. Only the degree of shaking. It arises the degree of shaking, the intensity of it shaking the mind. If it is strong, it shakes the mind violently. But if it is weak, you can't notice it because it shakes a little bit. Unless you are a meditator and very sharp with your mindfulness, you can even recognize the little shaking. Non-meditators, you don't have strong mindfulness, you only recognize the big shaking. Right now, yes, you still could recognize it, but conscious, not aware. You could recognize it and still shake, you know? But if you have awareness, you slowly detach the mind. Again and again, you detach the mind, it subsides. And the length of time depends on how strong the restlessness is. If your restlessness is very strong, it takes more time to settle it. If the restlessness is weak, it is very fast to settle the restless mind. Whenever you sit down, rising, falling, the mind settles down. So depending on the strength of Uddhacca when it arises in your mind. And what is the near cause of its arising? What is the near cause of its arising? Then of course he says, a disquiet mental object. It does not pinpoint to exactly what object that makes the mind disquiet. It just say a disquiet object. And what can be a disquiet object? Your turn to talk. I've been talking non-stop. Now what is the object that makes the mind not quiet? What? What object? Fear. Yes, good. Fear. Yes, yes. You forgot lah, money lah. When you think of money, your mind is disquiet lah. You forget vitamin M. All of us need that. Unless you have a pile of it in your bank account, then you're very settled, think of money. Otherwise the mind, the M only arises in your mind. You become very restless. Now where to find it? Where to find it? Disquiet, right? So these are things, attachment. These are things that fear, attachment, anger, frustration, sadness. All these things makes the mind disquiet. So a disquiet object. Sometimes it connected to a person. Sometimes connected to a thing. Sometimes even an object. The moment the object is there, the mind gets disquiet. Even a sound, a music that you don't like makes the mind disquiet. These objects makes the mind disquiet. The moment it touches the consciousness, disquiet arises. And of course, mental objects. Things that have past, present, or future. The funny thing of mental object is, it is timeless. You can go to the past, it can go to the present, it can go to the future. But the senses has to depend on present objects. That is the difference between mind objects and the five sense object. And that is a big difference. We say, out of sight, out of mind. Not seeing, you don't remember. So why? Because it is no longer there. The object is no longer there. So out of sight, out of mind. The mind is not thinking of the object. That is the I consciousness. But the mind is different. Absence make the heart grows fonder, another saying. But that is the opposite of what I say in the first. Why? Because mind object. You miss the object. The pleasant objects, you miss it. And so you think about it. Oh, in the past, I have this person close to me, so nice to me, makes me happy. Right? So, my object, when you think of the object, then it makes the heart grows fonder. How I wish I would have that person again. Now that is my object. Don't you think it's a big difference? And he can also think of the future. He thinks, what if I'm growing old and I have nobody to take care of me? What if I'm sick and paralyzed? The thought of that causes uddhacca. Mind gets very disturbed when you think of mental objects in the future. But it is unreal, the Buddha says. It's not happened yet. It may not happen at all. But it produces a lot of fear. Why? My object. It is not present object. My object. But present object could produce that as well. Isn't it? You see an old lady there, cannot move, in the hospital, groaning all the time. Then look at it, fear arises. The mind uddhacca. What if I am like that in the future? The mind gets very restless. You look at that, it gets very restless. Uddhacca. Fear arises. Right? Gets very disturbed. Is that so? Present object. True? So, that is the near cause. Unwise attention to mental disquiet object. Alright? Now then, uddhacca is rooted in ignorance. Now, by itself, uddhacca is ignorance mind. Ignorance is spread out into two. It is spread out into uddhacca and doubts. The mohacitta, the main ignorant mind, it can arise by itself. Moha, without the attachment and the ill will. But of course, when there is attachment and ill will, moha will always arise with them. But it can arise by itself, mohacitta, moha mind. And when it arises by itself, it is spread out into two types. One type is uddhacca, another type is doubts, not knowing. Two types. Alright? Clear or not? Any question? Clear or not? So before I come to the knowing it is there, knowing it is not there, if it is there, what to do with it, the third part, but I will still go to the kukucca because it explained differently from the uddhacca. The worries is another mental state, even though when there is worries, there is restlessness, and when there is restlessness, is there worry? Is there worry when there is restlessness? It may not be exactly worries. It could be greed, wanting something you can't have. The mind is restless, finding ways to get what you want. Mind is moving all the time. Restlessness. So when at night you cannot sleep, it's a form of uddhacca. I say, it's late, I want to sleep, I want to sleep. Don't think anymore, don't want to think anymore. But the mind still keep on thinking, don't care what you say. Uddhacca is a form of uddhacca. So when there is worries, there is uddhacca. But when there is uddhacca, worries is just one of them. There are many. Not necessarily worries arise. It could be craving arise. It could be anger arise. Right? Get a point or not? Get a point or not? Now, what is kukucha? What is worries or remorse? Now, how does it arise? How does it arise? But I go to its characteristics first. Kukucha is worries, explained as worries or remorse. What is the characteristics of kukucha? Characteristics is regret, remorsefulness. Characteristics, when it arises, it is remorseful. Worries is remorseful. Okay? And what is the function? What does it do to the mind when it arises? It produces sorrow, sadness. That is what it do to the mind. Of what? What has been done, what has not been done, that is correct, that brings benefits. That is the function of the worries. Worries, should I do this? Must I do this? Shall I do this? Have I done it before? Should I do it now? Right? So it is a worry. Do I do the right thing? Or have I done the wrong thing? So that is kukucha. That is when it comes out, the mind goes like that. There is always question but no answer. Have you experienced that type of a mind? There's thousands and one question but no one answer. There's no question. It's no answer. It's only a question mark. Must I do it? Should I do it? Can I do it? Did I do it in the past? Did I not do it in the past? Have I done it in the past? Have I not done it in the past? Now it's a form of worries because things are not right in the present. If things are right in the present, you would not have worry. If everything goes as planned, if you have a happy life, then there probably would not have so much worries regarding the past. But you could have worries regarding the future, the past. So you do not have a lot of things in the past that is producing worries. But you may have a lot of things in the future, thinking of the future, that produce worries. Right? You say, now I'm so old, my children so young. What happened when I die? Who's going to look after these children? There's this pathetic child, and the parents keep thinking, what if we die? What are we going to do with this child? Who is going to take care of the child? Even though the child is pathetic, 20 years old, behave like 3 years old, but the love, the parent love for the child is there. Even though the child is not handsome, it looks ugly, the face is not correct, but the parents love the child, and so the worries constantly arises. And why do it arises? Of course, is the attachment. This is my child. If it's another child, he would just say, compassion, compassion, compassion. Finish it. Out of sight, out of mind. You have money, probably, okay, I give you $100. Finish it. It doesn't stuck in the mind because it is not my child. It's another body child. Right? But in this case, the worries keep on coming. And there are cases in the newspaper when the parents grow old and sickly, they kill themselves and they kill the child as well. They can't bear that when they die, they don't know what is going to happen to this child. There's no one to look after, to care for this child. And surely, in their mind, the child will suffer. Nobody is going to give the attention that the parents give to the child. No, nobody is going to do that. Even if somebody look after him, he would not have the attention. He would not know what the parents know. With a blink of an eye, the parent will know what to do. You just say, the parent know what to do. Because they're so used to the child. They feel what the child feels. Right. But not another person. So before they die, they kill the child. Then they kill themselves. There are things happening like that in the newspaper that I've read. And of course, ill will. But precisely, worries. Precisely, it is due to worries. And worries give rise, makes the ill will strong, hatred. We say it is hatred, but it is not really hatred. But the killing process is hatred. When he killed the child, Hatred arises in the mind. Killing is never compassion. They always ask the question, compassionate killing. Do Buddhism has this word compassionate killing? No, killing is never compassionate. Killing is always ill will. Compassionate never kills. Compassionate helps to alleviate the suffering. Never kills. So it is a big difference between compassion and ill will. They cannot go together like oil and water. No matter how you shake and you put it on a table, the oil will come to the surface. The water will remain bottom. Why? Because of the nature of water is heavier than the oil. Therefore the oil will float. The water will sink. It is like a wood that you throw on the water. Why? Because the wood is light. It will float, but the stone will sink. The nature of the object. Just as compassion and ill will, the nature of the mind. The Buddha say, Chitta niyamas. There are 4 niyamas, and this is Chitta niyamas. This is the nature of the mind, that they do not mix. They always come out wholesome, all wholesome. And when it is unwholesome, they all come out unwholesome. Even the neutral one become contaminated and become unwholesome. They are neutral mental state. But if they come out with the unwholesome mind, the neutral mental state become unwholesome. And if it is a wholesome mind, the neutral mental state become wholesome. Like the energy, for example. Mental energy, for example. Right? And when you get angry and you take something and you hit somebody, unwholesome energy. Then you say, unwholesome action. The energy that takes out the bottle and throw, that is the energy in your mind. And it is unwholesome because it is connected with ill will. So we say, that is unwholesome action. And everything is there. So in Abhidhamma, you not only see an unwholesome action, you see also the mind states and everything, the combination that produces these throwing. So we call it, in the Abhidhamma, relationship, pachaya. The 24 types of relationship that he hold this bottle and throw. You only see one action, but there are combination of 24, not exactly. Combination, you see one action, a combination of 24 minor combination. So it is wholesome when you give $1 to a poor man, or you lend $100 to a friend. It arises mostly with generosity and metta, loving kindness, and you give. Okay, never mind. When you have money, then you pay me back. Otherwise, it's all right. So just that giving, the effort to put your hand into your pocket, take out the purse, open it up, see how much is it, and take out what you can afford. Don't you think there's a lot of energy? If you have no energy, cannot do physical. And the important is mental energy. No mental energy to give. You cannot give. You must have the mental energy. Okay, some are very strong. Some, this wholesome mind, the energy arises very strong. Sometimes the other person don't even have to ask. At once you take it out. And, take it. Very strong. So this energy that is neutral becomes wholesome energy. That is in the Abhidhamma, a combination of factors. Interesting or not? Interesting, huh? So you think Abhidhamma very dull? No, if you put a lot of story like me, if you're a storyteller, it could be most interesting. Yes, Abhidhamma could be most interesting if you meet with a storyteller. Gives you a lot of examples and you find fantastic. The Buddha knows all that. Buddha knows all that. No other religion is able to explain all that. No, only the Buddha were able to see the mind and body, interaction of mind and body, relationship of mind and body. Buddha could explain very clearly and in detail. Only thing we cannot comprehend, that is all. We cannot comprehend because the Buddha don't tell so much story. Buddha don't tell so much story, right? He tells it in the Sutanta. You must know how to piece it together. A lot of these Abhidhammas are all in the Suttantas. Yes, you must know how to relate it. Then it becomes interesting, right? And what is the manifestation? What is the manifestation of kukucha, worries? What is the manifestation? So it manifested as remorse, thinking again and again in mental pain, dissatisfaction without any solution. That is the manifestation. You see that he's very worried all the time, but there is no solution to his worry. So you can see a person that has a lot of kukucha, worries. Yes, I've seen them. There's one guy that I've seen. He walk here, he walk there, see liao la, see liao la. I say, you see so many times but still cannot see? You die so many times but still alive. You still cannot die. I say, it is the person who always want to die cannot die. A lot of time people that who really want to die cannot, don't want to die, then die. So this guy doesn't die. He keep on saying die, but he doesn't die. Worries. So I know, when I look at him, I know there he goes again. He has so much worries in his mind. If you can measure it, tons of worries. He's always worries. Worries about this, worries about that, worries in the past, worries in the present, worries in the future. So that is the manifestation. By seeing the body, the words, the action, you know there's a lot of worries in the mind. Right now. So don't get affected by his worry. Then you become one of them. He say see, then you say see, then you say see, you say see. Two person see now. Instead of one see, now two person die. Affected. So you must watch mindfully and watch the state of mind. Worries, worries, worries. So you would not like to be like him, worries, because it is suffering. It is not happiness, it is suffering. When you see such state of mind, it is burning, because it is rooted in ill will. Kukucha is rooted in ill will. It is a family of the ill will. Right? It is part of ill will. Okay? And what is the cause? What is the cause of restlessness arising? Okay, I've talked about this before. The cause of its arising is not doing what ought to be done. That is the cause of worries that arises, is you haven't done the right thing, you have done the wrong thing, so now you have worries. Or you have done wrong thing, you have done the wrong thing, you have not done the right thing, now you are worried. So that is the cause of its arising. And it also arises with regards to loved ones, attachment. When you love when you're very close, attached to your loved ones, like parents, children, siblings, and so forth. So what's the main cause of worry is, like mother always worry about their children. Right now, they always worry. When a child is young, they worry. When they're middle-aged, they worry. When they are adult age, they worry. Don't you think so? Yes, mothers has a lot of worries. Sometimes the daughter 30 years old, not married yet, a lot of worries. Cannot married off, worries. And the man 40 years old, not married, also worry. No wife means no hot food. When she die, finish. Always 打包, eat outside. Right now, but sometimes 打包 can be very good. You can choose the food you want to eat. Otherwise, there is no choice. Right now, the 3 veggie on the table means 3 veggie, no choice. You don't like it, no choice. You eat it anyway. The main thing is the worries. Parents always worries about their children. Even they are adults, they still worries. Even they become a father already, also worries. They are always worries. And of course, worries of health. One of the main things that we worry is our health. Our loved one health, our children health. Because it destroys our happiness. Once you don't have good health, no matter how rich you are, you can't do anything about it. The There's this story about a very rich man, and of course, he's so busy, he has no time to travel, no time to enjoy himself. Spend all his life just thinking about how to make money and look after his money. And then one day, now he's very old, he's about 80 years old, and he's going blind, he cannot see. And the children force him to go overseas, to see the world rather than just Malaysia. So buy a ticket and accompany him and force him and took him to the Disneyland in America. And he went to the Disneyland and he went in there one day, look, and he tell his children, I've seen the whole world, I want to come back. No need to see anymore. And the children come back, complain that only he go there, the one day only he wants to come home, because he cannot let go of his business. He has so many business here, he don't trust anybody. So they force him there, and he go there, go to Disneyland, see. I think he probably see 1% of it, because he's nearly blind. He's nearly blind. And when he comes back, he talk to us. You see, if once you go to Disneyland, you see the whole world. You haven't been to Disneyland before. So he go there, he was really fascinated. Wow. He said, you don't have to see any more things already. Enough already. So health, we worry about health, our loved ones, ourselves. But don't become a freak. Health freak. Don't become a health freak. That is bad, a health freak. Become too concerned with your body health. Become very attached to the body and produce a lot of pain, a lot of disturbances, restlessness, uddhacca. Don't be a health freak. Just keep relatively healthy. Don't eat a lot of things that you think you can't eat. Eat reasonably well and look after your mind. Right? Don't be a health freak. The Buddha don't talk too much about food. You see, in the discourse, the Buddha just tell the monk, soft and hard food. You have a balance of hard and soft food. If you have all hard food, you get constipated. You have all soft food, your stomach, it will cause pain. It can't last until tomorrow morning. So you must have a combination of hard and soft food. That is what the Buddha say. The Buddha never say, you eat all vegetable lah. No. Or you only drink pure water lah. No, Buddha never say that. A lot of monks, they eat by the stream. They just the stream water. They just take a sieve. They sieve so that there are no insects in the water when they drink. Because they got a container they can't see. So they fill it in and they lock it up. They open it up and drink. They can't see. So if they drink got insect inside also, they'll drink inside. So they must have a sieve, water sieve, and put it and pour it down into their container. So they have a sieve and they drink just river water, right? When they're in the forest. So food is important, but the mind is more important. If you are physically healthy, we are not mentally healthy, it is no good to live long. Because the longer you live, the more unwholesomeness you create. Right? If you live to 100 and 100 years of unwholesome mind, fantastic. Right? It is only beneficial when you live long and practice meditation, cultivate more wholesomeness. Then it is very benefit to live long, but still mentally not in part, mentally strong, healthy. Then it is very beneficial to live long. But if there is no healthy mind, then it is not so beneficial to live that long, create more unwholesome karma. So in other words, the Buddha do not place great emphasis, even though our body is important, because they are mind and body, they are interdependent. If sometimes you have a weak body, you can't lead a spiritual life. There's too much pain. You have no energy to sit in the meditation posture. You can't do walking meditation. So it becomes difficult to practice, to cultivate in that sense. So relatively you need a healthy body so that you can meditate. Buddha says it's like a rowman and a boat. Depending on each other, they cross the river. If the boat without the rowman, it will drift. It will not reach the other side of the bank. And if you have a rowman without the boat, he cannot row across. So depending on the mind and body, we practice mindfulness and we go to the other bank, that is Nibbana. So that is the saying of the Buddha. Depending on both mind and body, we practice mindfulness and we cross the other bank. In other words, we get out of suffering. All right? And property, of course. Of property, we worry because no property also worry. A lot of property also more worries. Sometimes, when you have no house, you say, no house, no roof over my head. But you have 4 or 5 houses. Got to collect rent. Tenant giving so much problem. Also so much worry. This month whether he pays or not. This one haven't paid for 3 months. Gone case. Becha bekun. You cannot sleep. So we worry if we have property. Right? Whether we have money to pay the bank or we're able to collect money. So there are, regarding the property, regarding growing old, regarding worries. A lot of people have worries. And they ask me this question, Brother James, does it mean that as we grow older and older, we have more worries and fear of dying? Do you think so? We have some old people here, including me. Do we have more worries as we are growing older and older? Not if you have the Dhamma, not if you have mindfulness. But if you don't have the Dhamma, you don't have the mindfulness, yes, fears and worries grow as one grows older and older. Yes, it is true. It is true. Right? It is true. So you better have mindfulness and Dhamma. So when you grow old, the more old you become, you don't get to have worries and fear. So there's this old lady who is about 90 years old, and she keeps saying she doesn't want to die. She say, please help me, I don't want to die. Help, help, I don't want to die. I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Help, help, I don't want to die. There's so much fear of dying, so much worries when they die. Where are they going? Where are they going? Are they going to be reborn again? Where will they be? What are they going to be? So there are so much question mark, no answer. A lot of worries, a lot of fear. So make sure you meditate, right? Because we accumulate very good karma, very strong karma when we meditate because of the concentration. We make our mind pure, and so that is very strong merit. Make sure you meditate 5 minutes, 10 minutes. When you lie down on the bed, go to your rise and fall. Or when you're not sleepy, just walk, lifting, pushing down. Just walk a few times in your bedroom. Make sure you do some meditation. And if you don't do a lot of meditation, make sure you attend Dhamma talks. What I mean is correct Dhamma talk, not wrong Dhamma talk. What the Buddha taught, the correct Dhamma thoughts, that it produce more inspiration, produce more faith, become more wise, and you do not have so much worries and fear when you grow old. Okay? And of course, of the future, we worry about the future, and of course, loneliness. A lot of people worries about loneliness. It is true. A lot of people worry about loneliness. There's one parent, and he has a last child still with him. All the other children has gone overseas. They pass and they don't come back. And the last one is also going overseas. And they worry that this child also won't come back when they go overseas. So they are always constantly having a lot of worries because of loneliness. So what happened? If this child go away, then there's no more children around. And when they grow old, now who is going to help who? The wife needs help, the husband needs help, and now who is going to help who? Both is so old. The husband say, can you give me a cup of hot water? And the wife say, I also need a cup of hot water. Nobody around. Both need a cup of hot water, but nobody around. Get a maid, but they can't afford. Not everybody is rich. True. Sometimes now maids are also expensive. Again, not easy to get a maid. You got to apply this and that, and you get a maid that is the master rather than the maid. You become more greater than the master. You order the master around. Yes, they bully the old people. I've heard of a lot of maids. They bully the old people. They scold them. They bully them because the old people can't do anything, dependent on them. Right? Time's up. Time's up. There's more to go. Next week we'll continue on, because we got to know it's arising, why it arises, and how we remove them. That's very important. So only in the Dhammanupassana that you develop the mindfulness of knowing the cause of its arising and know how to get rid of them so that they will not cause you trouble. Then you can maintain your calmness of mind. If you cannot maintain your samadhi, you cannot get into enlightenment. If you practice on the body, on the feeling, on the mind, but daily life you are so disturbed, you're not aware of these hindrances. No matter how you sit, you are just building up samadhi when you sit. When you meditate, you have to constantly check your mind and get into calmness. So if it is strong, if the hindrances are strong, you could never get into deep samadhi, and therefore you could not get into insight. So Dhammanupassana is essential if the mind is strong with hindrances. So you got to practice in daily life. You must note it, aware of it, and try not that they don't become strong. If they become strong, certain of the hindrances become very strong. It affects your meditation. Affects when you sit down and meditate, you can't get calmness. So unless you already have a degree of calmness, then you can watch your body, watch your mind, watch your feeling, and you can get into insight. So when you put the question, is Dhammanupassana important for realization? Yes and no. Yes, if the mind is so uncalm and hindrances are strong. If you have a lot of worries, you can never meditate. Rising, falling, you worry. Rising, falling, you worry. How are you going to get concentration? If you're full of anger, how are you going to meditate? If you're full of desire, how are you going to meditate? Rising, falling, want a cup of cocoa. And then come back, rising, falling, want to go jamban. And then come back, rising, falling, I got to see my friend. Right now, appointment so long, never see him. Got to see. Rising, falling, today is Wednesday, Jaya Jusco got discount. Finish lah. How are you going to meditate? How are you going to meditate? So, needs the mind relatively calm. If not, Dhammanupassana becomes important. That is why the Buddha taught the four foundations of mindfulness. If it is not important, then the Buddha would have just taught 3 foundations of mindfulness. And why is it 4? Because it is also important. Okay? So any question? I'll stop here because there's still so much more to go. I'll do that next week. Is it clear on the Abhidhamma aspects of the hindrances which I have brought up?